Life has a way of teaching us its most important lessons through unexpected turns. As I stand here in my newly opened craft store, Artisan's Haven, I can't help but reflect on the journey that brought me here. My childhood memories before I turned 6 are filled with quiet afternoons in our suburban home. My father worked long hours at his insurance firm, while my mother juggled her accounting career with parenthood. I remember spending countless hours in our small backyard, creating tiny worlds with whatever I could find. Fallen leaves became exotic currencies, twigs transformed into magic wands, and dandelions turned into wishes waiting to be scattered to the wind. "Look what I made, Mom!" I would excitedly show her my latest creation, usually as she rushed to prepare dinner after a long day at work.
"That's nice, sweetie. Now please wash your hands for dinner."
Her distracted responses became a familiar rhythm in our household. I learned early on that being alone didn't have to mean being lonely. When I was 5, I discovered my grandmother's old craft box during a weekend stay at her house. It was filled with colorful ribbons, buttons, and threads, a treasure trove that would change my life forever.
"My little artist."
My grandmother smiled, watching me sort through the buttons by color.
"Would you like me to teach you how to make something special?"
That afternoon, as she taught me to string together a simple bracelet, I felt a spark of joy that would eventually grow into my life's passion. Those weekends at Grandma Rose's became my sanctuary, where I learned not just crafting techniques, but also the value of creating something with my own hands. Then came the day that would change everything. My parents sat me down in our living room, their faces wearing those special, "we have important news" expressions that adults often use with children.
"Amanda, honey, how would you feel about having a sister?"
My mother's voice was gentle, careful. A real sister, to play with and share my toys with. I couldn't contain my excitement. The lonely afternoons in the backyard might finally be filled with laughter and shared adventures. "Yes, sweetheart. Her name is Catherine, and she's 3 years old. She needs a family, and we'd like to be that family for her," my father explained, showing me a photo of a small girl with dark curls and bright eyes. I remember bouncing with joy, my mind already racing with all the games we could play together, the secrets we could share, and the crafts we could make. Little did I know how this change would reshape my entire world. The day Catherine arrived was bright and sunny, almost like a scene from a movie. She was smaller than I expected, clutching a worn teddy bear and hiding behind our social worker's legs. "Hello, Catherine. I'm your big sister, Amanda." I held out the friendship bracelet I had made especially for her, using the techniques Grandma Rose taught me.
"Pretty."
Her tiny voice barely above a whisper, she reached for the bracelet with trembling fingers. That moment felt magical, like the beginning of a wonderful adventure. The first few weeks were everything I had dreamed of having a sister would be. We played together in the backyard, shared snacks, and I taught her how to make daisy chains. But then, subtle changes began creeping into our family dynamic. Within a month of Catherine's arrival, my mother surprised everyone by announcing her resignation from the accounting firm where she'd worked for the past 8 years.
"Catherine needs special attention and care. We want her to feel completely secure in our family,"
my mother explained during dinner, while my father nodded approvingly. I remembered asking why she hadn't stayed home when I was little. The question hung in the air for a moment, met with an uncomfortable silence.
"That was different, Amanda. You were always such an independent child."
My mother's response became a familiar refrain over the years, a gentle dismissal that somehow made me feel both proud and hollow at the same time. The changes continued, small at first, but growing more noticeable. My weekend visits to Grandma Rose were gradually reduced because Catherine found them too overwhelming. "But Grandma is teaching me new crafting techniques," I protested one Friday afternoon, my craft box already packed for our usual weekend visit.
Catherine needs stability right now, Amanda. You're old enough to understand that, aren't you? Besides, you can always practice your crafts at home.
At 6.5 years old, I was already learning that being old enough to understand meant sacrificing my own wants and needs. My craft supplies were relocated to the garage to make room for Catherine's growing collection of toys in our shared bedroom. The garage became my new sanctuary, a place where I could still create and dream, even as the rest of the house slowly transformed to revolve around Catherine's needs and preferences. One particular evening stands out in my memory. I had spent hours making a special photo frame for our family picture, carefully decorating it with shells collected from our last beach trip. "Mom, Dad, look what I made." I proudly presented my creation at dinner.
I want to make one too,
Catherine immediately demanded, her lower lip trembling.
Amanda, why don't you help Catherine make one? You know sharing is important.
My mother's tone left no room for discussion. The fact that I had used the last of my special shells didn't seem to matter. That night, as I lay in bed listening to my mother read Catherine her third bedtime story, I realized that being a big sister wasn't quite what I had imagined. The adventure I had dreamed of was turning into something else entirely. Everything changed dramatically 2 months before my 7th birthday. I was already planning my celebration, excited about the craft-themed party Grandma Rose had suggested.
Amanda, sweetheart, we need to talk about something special.
My mother sat me down one afternoon, wearing that familiar expression that always preceded another sacrifice for Catherine's benefit. "We've been thinking, wouldn't it be wonderful if you and Catherine could share a birthday? The orphanage isn't sure of her exact birth date, and this would make her feel truly part of our family." I felt my stomach drop. My birthday had always been my one special day, the only time when I could choose the cake flavor and activities without considering anyone else's preferences. "But it's my birthday," I whispered, fighting back tears. "Think about how special this would make Catherine feel. You want to be a good big sister, don't you?" My father's words hit their mark. Once again, I was expected to be the mature one, the understanding one. That first shared birthday party set the tone for all the years to follow. The house was decorated in pink and purple, Catherine's favorite colors, despite my preference for blue and green. The cake was chocolate with strawberry filling, because Catherine couldn't eat the vanilla cake I had requested due to her sensitivity to vanilla extract. My modest request for 5 friends was honored, while Catherine had 15 guests plus their mothers.
Isn't this wonderful?
My mother beamed, watching Catherine blow out the candles on our shared cake. I noticed she had positioned Catherine's side of the cake to face the cameras. My side, with its slightly melted frosting, remained in the shadows.
Amanda, why don't you let Catherine open her presents first? You're old enough to wait, aren't you?
The familiar phrase, "you're old enough," had become a gentle weapon, used to ensure my compliance in every situation that favored Catherine. Only Grandma Rose seemed to notice my quiet withdrawal to the corner of the room, where I sat watching Catherine become the center of what used to be my special day.
"Come with me, my little artist,"
she whispered, leading me to the garage where my craft supplies were stored.
"Sometimes, when we can't change what's happening around us, we can create something beautiful of our own."
That evening, while the party continued inside, Grandma Rose taught me how to make dream catchers, telling me stories about how they catch bad dreams and let only good ones through. This became our private tradition, sneaking away from the shared birthday parties to spend an hour creating something together. It was during these moments that I learned the most valuable lesson. Sometimes the best gifts aren't wrapped in pretty paper, but in moments of understanding and love. As I entered my teenage years, My garage sanctuary became more than just an escape. It transformed into a workshop where I could turn my emotions into art. The hours I spent there after school, experimenting with different materials and techniques, laid the foundation for my future. My first sale happened by accident during my freshman year of high school. I had worn one of my handmade necklaces to school, a delicate piece made from sea glass I'd collected during our last family vacation.
Oh my God, that's gorgeous. Where did you get it?
Sarah Matthews, one of the popular girls, stopped me in the hallway. I made it actually, I replied hesitantly, unused to such attention.
No way. Could you make one for me? I'll pay you.
That first $20 sale opened my eyes to a possibility I had never considered before. My crafts weren't just therapeutic creations. They could be a path to independence. Word spread quickly through school about my handmade jewelry. Soon, I was taking custom orders and staying up late to complete them.
Amanda, don't you think you're spending too much time in the garage? Catherine misses having her big sister around.
My mother's guilt trips had less effect now that I had found my purpose. I'm working on orders, Mom. This is important to me. For once, I stood my ground. The pride of earning my own money gave me a confidence I had never known before. It was during this time that I met Mrs. Chen, my high school art teacher. She saw potential in my work that went beyond simple crafts.
Amanda, have you ever considered selling your pieces online? Your work has a unique style that could appeal to a wider audience.
Under Mrs. Chen's guidance, I learned about photography, product presentation, and basic business principles. She helped me set up my first online shop during my junior year. My first online sale came from a customer in California, someone who had no connection to our small town or my school. The realization that my creations could reach people across the country was exhilarating. By my senior year of high school, my online business was steadily growing. Every spare moment was devoted to either creating new pieces or improving my business skills. Mrs. Chen introduced me to her sister, a successful small business owner who became my mentor.
The key to success isn't just making beautiful things, Amanda. It's about building a brand that tells your story.
Her words sparked something in me. I began incorporating elements of healing and transformation into my designs, drawing from my own experiences. Meanwhile, at home, the contrast between my parents' treatment of Catherine and me became increasingly stark. Catherine's college preparation consumed our family's attention.
Amanda, could you help Catherine with her college applications? You know how important this is for her future.
I was working on a large custom order at my desk when my mother made this request. Mom, I have orders to fill. I'm running a business here.
It's sweet that you have this little hobby, dear. But Catherine's education comes first.
The dismissal in her voice was nothing new, but it still stung. My little hobby had already paid for my laptop, business supplies, and was funding my own college savings. After graduating high school, I made the decision to take online business courses while growing my brand. My parents were less than thrilled. A real college experience would be better. Look how excited Catherine is about attending State University. I stood firm in my choice. For the first time, I wasn't asking for their approval. I was informing them of my decision. Working from my tiny rented apartment, I poured everything into my business. Each sale, each positive review, each returning customer became a validation of my path. The day my monthly revenue exceeded my parents' contribution to my rent was a turning point. I finally felt fully independent. 3 years of dedicated work had transformed my online business into something I could barely have imagined when I started. My designs were being featured in popular craft blogs, and I had a loyal customer base across the country. The idea of opening a physical store came after a particularly successful holiday season. I had been searching for the perfect location for months when I found it. A charming brick building with large windows on Madison Avenue. This space has such potential. I excitedly shared photos with Mrs. Chen during our weekly coffee meeting.
It's perfect, Amanda. Just like everything you've worked for.
I signed the lease with trembling hands, equal parts nervous and thrilled. The renovations began immediately, transforming the space into my dream workshop and retail store. When I told my parents about the store opening, their reaction was predictably underwhelming.
Oh, that's nice, dear. Speaking of celebrations, Catherine is graduating from college that same month.
I could already see where this was heading. We should combine the celebrations. It would be perfect, your store opening and Catherine's graduation party together. The familiar weight of their expectations settled on my shoulders. No, Dad. The store opening needs to be its own event. This is my business, my achievement.
Amanda, don't be selfish. Think about Catherine. She's worked so hard for her degree.
Years of therapy had taught me to recognize this pattern, but it still took all my courage to stand firm. I'm not being selfish. I'm setting a boundary. The store opening will be separate. Well, if you're going to be difficult about this, maybe we won't come to your opening at all. For the first time, their threat didn't fill me with panic. That's your choice to make. The morning of my store opening dawned bright and clear. Standing in front of Artisan's Haven, I felt a profound sense of achievement.
Your parents don't know what they're missing, Amanda. This is beautiful.
Mrs. Chen arrived early, helping me arrange the final displays. The window showcased my signature pieces, catching the morning light perfectly. The turnout exceeded my expectations. Local artisans, loyal online customers, and even several craft bloggers filled the store. Each piece tells a story of healing and growth, I explained to a reporter from the local paper, gesturing to my latest collection. Then, just before the ribbon-cutting ceremony, I saw them, my parents and Catherine, standing uncertainly at the back of the crowd.
Your work is amazing, Amanda. I never really understood before.
Catherine's voice was quiet, genuine. For the first time, I saw something different in her eyes. Not competition, but admiration.
We couldn't miss this. You've created something remarkable here.
My mother's voice trembled slightly. I could see her taking in the crowded store, the professional displays, the admiring comments from customers. I'm sorry, Amanda. We should have supported you more. The words I had waited years to hear. Would you like a tour? I offered, holding out a hand. Sometimes bridges can be rebuilt, one small gesture at a time. As I showed them around, explaining my design process and business model, I saw understanding slowly dawn in their eyes. This wasn't just a hobby. It was a thriving business born from years of dedication.
Could you teach me? Not to compete, just, I'd like to learn from my big sister.
In that moment, I realized that healing doesn't always mean forgetting. Sometimes it means creating something new from the broken pieces. 2 years have passed since that day. Artisan's Haven has become more than just a store. It's a community space where I teach crafting workshops, including a weekly session with Catherine. My parents still struggle sometimes with old habits, but they're trying. They proudly display my pieces in their home and regularly refer customers to the store. Most importantly, I've learned that success isn't just about proving others wrong. It's about staying true to your own vision and allowing space for relationships to evolve and heal. As I lock up the store each evening, I often think about that little girl in the garage, finding solace in creating beautiful things. She never could have imagined where that path would lead.